The man, the myth, the legend. Muhammad Ali is a name that is carved into the very core of boxing and will remain there forever. But his road to success was not as smooth as you might think. So how did Ali become one of the most influential boxers of his era? Let's delve into his life and find out. His original name was Cassius Marcellus Clay Jr. He was born on January 17, 1942, in Louisville, Kentucky, U.S. He grew up in the American South in an era of separated public facilities. His father, Cassius Marcellus Clay Sr., worked as a painter of billboards and signs. His mother, Odessa Clay, was a household domestic. When Clay was 12 years old, he took up boxing under the guidance of Louisville policeman Joe Martin. After progressing through the amateur ranks, he returned with a gold medal in the 175-pound division at the 1960 Olympic Games in Rome. After that, he started a professional career under the guidance of the Louisville Sponsoring Group, a group that was comprised of 11 wealthy white men. In his first bouts as a professional, Clay was more vastly regarded for his charm and personality than for his ring skills. He wanted to raise public interest in his fights by reading childlike poetry and saying self-descriptive phrases like "float like a butterfly, sting like a bee." He told everyone that he was the greatest, but the tough realities of boxing seemed to indicate otherwise. Clay enraged followers of the sport as much as he impressed them. He held his hands eccentrically low, backed away from punches rather than bobbing and waving out of danger, and seemed to lack true knockout power. The opponents he was besting were a mix of veterans who were long past their prime, and fighters who had never been more than ordinary. Thus, purists cringed when Clay forecasted the round in which he wanted to knock out an opponent, and they grimaced when he did so and bragged about each new conquest. On February 25, 1964, Clay confronted Sonny Liston for the heavyweight championship of the world. Liston was commonly regarded as the most daunting, powerful fighter of his era. Clay was an obvious underdog. But in one of the most stunning upsets in sports history, Liston retired to his corner after 6 rounds, and Clay became the new champion. 2 days after, Clay shocked the boxing establishment again by declaring that he had accepted the teachings of the Nation of Islam. On March 6, 1964, he changed his name to Muhammad Ali. For the next 3 years, Ali conquered boxing as thoroughly and superbly as any fighter had ever. Victories over Floyd Patterson, Chuvalo, Cooper, London, and Mildenberger followed. Then on April 28, 1967, quoting his religious beliefs, Ali refused training in the U.S. Army at the peak of the war in Vietnam. Many Americans heatedly condemned Ali's stance. It came at a time when most individuals in the United States still supported the war in Southeast Asia. Ali was stripped of his championship and prohibited from fighting by every state athletic commission in the United States for 3.5 years. In addition, he was criminally accused and, on June 20, 1967, convicted of refusing induction into the U.S. Armed Forces and sentenced to 5 years in prison. Although he remained free on bail, 4 years passed before his conviction was unanimously overturned by the U.S. Supreme Court. In October 1970, Ali was allowed to return to boxing, but he was a different man whose skills had eroded. Ali triumphed in his first 2 comeback fights against Corey and Oscar Bonavena. On March 8, 1971, he challenged Joe Frazier, who had risen as heavyweight champion during Ali's time off from the ring. It was a fight of historic extent, billed as the fight of the century. Frazier won by a unanimous 15-round decision. Succeeding his loss to Frazier, Ali won the next 10 fights in a row, 8 of them against world-class opponents. On October 30, 1974, Ali challenged George Foreman, who had overthrown Frazier in 1973, to become the heavyweight champion of the world. The bout took place in the unlikely location of Zaire, currently the Democratic Republic of Congo. Ali was received by the public of Zaire as a conquering hero, and he did his job by knocking out Foreman in the 8th round to regain the heavyweight title. Over the next 30 months, at the peak of his popularity as champion, Ali fought 9 times in bouts that showed him to be a daring fighter, but a fighter on the decline. The final performances of Ali's ring career were gloomy to behold. In 1978, he lost his title to Leon Spinks, a greenhorn boxer with an Olympic gold medal, but only 7 professional fights to his credit. 7 months later, Ali recovered the championship with a 15-round victory over Spinks. Then he retired from boxing, but 2 years later he made a rash comeback and suffered a horrible beating at the hands of Larry Holmes, in a fight that was stopped after 11 rounds. The ending ring contest of Ali's profession was a loss by the decision to Trevor Berbick in 1981. Ali's spot in boxing history as one of the supreme fighters ever is secure. His final record of 56 wins and 5 losses with 37 knockouts has been matched by others, but the superiority of his opponents and the way he dominated during his prime placed him on a plateau with boxing's immortals. Ali's later years were marked by physical decline. Injury to his brain caused by blows to the head led to slurred speech, slowed movement, and other signs of Parkinson's syndrome. Even though his movements failed him, people say his eyes were always smiling. He passed away on June 3, 2016. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you guys in the next video. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button if you enjoyed it. Until next time.